Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're kicking off the final week of March with Lon Strickler and Strange Days coming up momentarily. It's good to see you all. I hope you had a great weekend. Let's say hello to Race Fan in the gold medal position, SJ with a silver, Tim Mothman and his goatee with a bronze medal tonight, Chris 716, Laura Lobbs, and Andrew the Trucker. How you all doing? Hi, Chef Chris, Kathy Evans, and Robert Lamoth. Thanks for coming on in. Roy Boy, Bar Madison, Brown Dwarf, Les Paul Holland. Nice to see you all. JSCO and Philip Baca and Eternity Eternal. Thanks for coming on in. Corey is here. Corey will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Nikki in Seattle. Nice to see you, my dear. Hope you're doing well. Hello there, Sandra Kincaid. Hope you're doing well. And Cosmic Fleur. How are you? Dragonfly, Digger Dog. Nice to see you both. Cosmic Joe, how you doing? As we scroll on down, there's Luscious Jules, Millennium, my man. Thanks for coming on in. And who else do we have here? Let's scroll on down. W. David Page, Matthew Goodka, Forrest Louie, how are you, my friend? Christy Abels, thank you for coming on in. Little Cam over on Twitch, what's happening, my man? Paramarv, good to see you. And Louie, thank you so much for kicking off the super chat tonight. Very much appreciate your love and support each and every night here, my man. Ozzy, how you doing? Major Lee, good morning to you. Jojo, welcome to SOR chat. Phil the Stalker, good to see you again. Hi, Susan Alloway. And who else is next? Let's say hello to, scrolling on down, Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Hi, Samantha Hazelwood Gray. How are you? And who's over on Facebook right now? Let's take a little peeky poo. Susan Lawrence, the pride of Indiana. Thank you for joining us. Scrolling on down, purple-haired Pixie Lara. Nice to see you. Spencer Porter, welcome to SOR chat. And hope your CE5 was down. Audacious Amber. Yes, Audacious Amber. We'll be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Do not make eye contact. She will not sign for you. It's already in her contract. Yeah, she doesn't like that shit. Laura Lee Seaton, nice to see you. Dizzy F. and Reed, what's happening? Operation Shutdown. Dirt Road, nice to see you all. And who else is here? Scrolling on down. Foxy Joe, what's happening? Al Gray on Twitch. Necessary Dialogue. Welcome to SOR chat. T. Tui. Nice to see you. And Ajdi, how you doing? Oh, Dirty Filth just popped in. There he is. He's dirty as ever. He didn't shower all weekend because he wanted to be more than dirty for this show tonight. Silent Listen, thanks for coming on in. Digger Dog again. Gee Calgary, what's happening, my man? Human Carl is here, a great veteran of the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service there, Human Carl. We love you, my man. Aaron Baca, how you doing? And Lord Buckethead, the soothsayer. Nice to see you. Simply Coco, what is the drink of choice tonight, my dear? It's been a while since we've had you here, so I'm glad you're back. Let's start the radio and podcast side. Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, my name is Dave Scott. We got Lon Strickler in Strange Days, Lon's website, phantomsandmonsters.com. We are in roll call, and Bill WD-40 has arrived as he is officially lubing us up for tonight's show, because you want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want any of that rigidness. It's uncomfortable. Rock and Rory, how you doing? And who else is here as we get ready for showtime? We are running out of time. Let's quickly scroll on down. We are caught up. Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. As for Matt, how you doing? We're going to be in for a good show. Good show tonight. I hope you're excited. I am. So let's have some fun. You ready? I'm ready. Throw those horns up and let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old baby the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bubblefoot, read the newswire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Power show of fun tonight is Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com. Comes on in to talk all sorts of Glitter Man to Mothman to Goat Man to every kind of man out there that is scaring the daylights out of us these days. Then in hour number 3, Steve Stockton from Among the Missing. Follow that up. Courtney Marcassani will have the UFO report. Let's step right up. Lon Strickler is a Fortean researcher, author, and publisher of the syndicated Phantoms and Monsters blog. He began it almost 20 years ago in 2005, and it grows each and every day. It's a popular read by tens of thousands of paranormal enthusiasts, investigators, and those seeking the truth. His research and reports have been featured in hundreds of online media sources, including our own here, and he's had several reports go right into television segments like Ancient Aliens, Paranormal Witness, Fact or Fake Paranormal Files, Monsters and Mysteries in America. He has 9 books out. They can all be found on Amazon. Lon Strickler, my man, it is always good to have you on Spaced Out Radio. How you doing?
How are you?
I am good. I am wonderful. I've never had a better day than today, my friend. I don't know why, but I'm just feeling it right now. Just feels like a good day. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Glad you're
Excellent.
doing well, too.
Oh, always. You know how it goes. That's just the way the ball bounces. And I'm choosing happiness today, my man. Happiness. Because I can, darn it. Lon, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. And each and every month when we have you on in this great feature we call Strange Days, we get into all sorts of monsters and characters that are really out of sci-fi. Lon, normally I ask you the same question to begin because we always have new listeners tuning in, may not have heard of you before, but that's okay. That's how we grow the topic. But for you, out of all the monsters that are out there that you've heard of over the years, are you surprised that people are still seeing different sorts of monsters and reporting them to you on a weekly basis, daily basis, monthly basis?
Nah, nothing shocks me anymore, quite frankly. And, we get all kinds of variations, I guess, of the same thing many times. But, the cryptid field is never going to be a moot field. There's always going to be something. Something will slow back, and then something will pick up behind it. And you know, we just take what we can get. I mean, I take what I can get. It's just not necessarily what I want all the time, but I have been fortunate enough to have enough people to trust me and to contact me and let me know what they're seeing and experiencing, and we're there to tell the world.
Lon, when did you lose that shock? Do you remember?
Oh, that was a long time ago. Well, I guess when I started the blog, it was a new thing, and of course, as time went on, and I guess maybe 10, 15 years ago, it got to the point where, wow, I'm hearing all kinds of crazy stuff all the time, and I'm talking to people who I do work with now for the most part, but I've talked to thousands of people over the years, and actually worldwide, but no, nothing shocks me anymore. And something new comes up, we just dig into it the best we can and try to get some answers.
Out of all the monsters you've heard of ones that have only been seen one time. You've heard of ones that have been seen many, like Dogman, Bigfoot, aliens, and many more.
Mm-hmm.
At what point do you look at all of these monsters and say, this is amazing? This is what I do for a living.
Well, if I wasn't interested, if I wasn't amazed by what I did, I wouldn't do it. I do it every day. Holidays, weekends, it doesn't really matter. As long as people keep contacting me and keep trusting what I do and allow me to talk to them, to interview them, to trust me, and I'll keep on doing it. I mean, I don't really see any reason to stop unless, there's a mortal factor in there somehow. But I mean, I just keep going as best I can.
Do you ever have days where you get some reports and you're like, I just can't believe this person experienced that?
Oh yeah, I got a few of those. Absolutely.
Which one?
You almost got to question everything. I mean, you got to question everything that comes in. I don't like to be skeptical, but I am a skeptic to a degree. But yeah, you're going to get some reports sometime. It's just like with this thing that happened, that's been going on in Chicago all these years. We first started getting those reports. We didn't know what to think about it. Of course, they were first coming into MUFON, but we hadn't talked to anybody per se, but maybe a month or two into it, we were lucky enough to be able to contact somebody and put it out there that we were investigating this. And it was getting out there. It was getting on Google, and people were seeing more and more, and they were contacting us, and then it blew up. That's the big thing about this. If you're known for working on something in particular, people are going to contact you.
You started this, the internet was still in its infancy, really. Okay. Mm-hmm. Facebook was just starting to come out in year number 1. I mean, let's go back a long time here when you started it, but it wasn't that long ago. How much easier has social media made for you to get reports?
I don't know. It has helped. I've got people that follow me on social media. I mean, I go back to MySpace, those days, but I wasn't really doing much paranormal stuff back then. Back then I had a celebrity and sports personality memorabilia business that I was doing. And that's where I started off with MySpace, and I was getting it out there then. And a little bit when Facebook kind of started, I was on that a bit, but I didn't really do the paranormal on there until later on after I started the blog for a bit. And, yeah. And of course that's 99% of what I talk about on there now. I mean, discuss with people, but I've got a following. It's not a huge following, but it's a following. And I get people through through contacts that will get a hold of me. Somebody will make an inquiry and then they'll say, well, go to Lon or go to Fams of Monsters. And, yeah. But I'd say, years and years ago, it was all word of mouth. But I think social media has really helped to some degree.
Do you also find that on social media that the reports that you get are easier for people to kind of track and explain that they may have had the same encounters as well? Has it opened up a network of more people being brave enough to talk about their encounters?
Oh, I think it has. Yeah, people are less reluctant to talk about it on there. They don't necessarily put what they've seen in detail on social media. For they'll put it out there that they've had an encounter, then somebody will refer or they'll contact me, and of course I contact them. We'll go into deeper detail, but no, it does help. It absolutely does help, and I'd say Facebook is probably the best right now. I'm more on X than I was before, so I've stayed away from TikTok and Instagram and all that for the most part. I mean, I do put things out there, but Facebook's the old reliable. So, it's easier to contact and stay in touch with people too. I mean, it's a platform that really offers a lot to you. So, but no, I won't deny that, social media has been has been great as far as keeping contact with people and letting them know what's going on, and I'm not afraid to use it.
Damn it, he's not afraid to use it. Don't push Lon too far. He'll use his social media to bring those monsters down. I love it. Lon, out of all the monsters that you have heard of throughout the years, we've seen some new ones pop up over the last few decades, or the last decade or so, from Siren Head to the Hat Man to Glimmerman to absolutely everything in between. What is with all of these new creatures popping up, you think?
Well, I think for the most part, a lot of it has to do with people's recognition of entertainment media. Now, when I say that, I'm talking about, well, the Glimmer Man, for instance. People say it reminds them of the Predator or Alien and the way that thing seems to cloak itself. And for the most part, the sightings that we get with this phenomena are very similar to what were in the movie. So people associate that. The winged humanoids. I get the Creepers Jeepers thing, or Jeepers Creepers thing associated with a lot of times. And, entertainment, or film entertainment, TV entertainment, it comes into that a lot. People see something, they don't really know what to call it, and then they'll associate it with something they're familiar with. So I think, and, the more these creatures that they make, and they're bringing things out all the time, people try to associate it with something that they've seen in real life. And I think it has a lot with keeping things fresh and in people's minds.
How many of these creatures that are kind of new, and I just want to focus on Siren Head and the Hat Man for right now. How
Mhm.
many of these creatures like this are out there that mainstream people like me may not know of yet?
Well, I don't know. That's hard to answer. I don't know how many people really follow it. Of course, the Hat Man, Shadow Man, and others. People see these things and they don't really know how to explain it, and they will go and start searching, and they'll eventually come up with it. They'll find it somewhere, then they'll contact an investigator or somebody who's writing about it. The newest phenomena is that we're really starting to get a lot of contact about is this Glimmerman phenomena, and we're actually involved with doing a book about that now. and me and two other gentlemen are working on that together. But it's a new phenomenon. It's something that not a whole lot of people know about. I think the hot hat mans and those people are starting to realize what it is, and they recognize the moniker that people use for it. But as you know, it's just like anything else. If it's out there for a long time, just like Slender Man was, people didn't know what Slender Man was, even though it was a meme more than anything else. But then people started seeing these things in real life, or supposedly in real life, and these memes took on a life of their own, literally. And it started to hit the mainstream, and even though it's somewhat waned off now, it'll lead to something else eventually. So yeah, I mean, I think people associate phenomena with what they're familiar with. And of course, with Bigfoot, people associate the Patterson Gimlin film, and they see in Harry and Henderson's and all the other stuff in the movies and TV. Of course, with the cryptid canines, everybody's familiar with Wolfman and the werewolves phenomena, or the fantasy of these creatures, and it's something that they can associate with.
Do you think that many of these creatures come up through the levels of creepypasta?
Oh, sure. I think a lot of them do. In fact, I think most of them start off like that. Or people associate them as being creepypasta, just like Slender Man was. And then something will happen where, it'll bust loose that maybe people are seeing these things. What are they? A thought form, a tulpa, or are they something that's really, really out there? That's just not being man manifested by a human. Of course, we've got these pale crawlers now that people have been seeing now for almost a decade, or been reporting, and that continues on. That was all creepypasta from the beginning, but as time went on, they started to evolve, and the whole cryptid field's like that. It evolves. And many times it evolves from something else, just like it may be associated with other paranormal activity, or even UFOs or aliens, and be connected with that, just like the Bigfoot is. I mean, a lot of people associate that with something to do with possible connection with UFOs and aliens. So, the whole paranormal supernatural field is connected. It really is. I mean, it's very rare when I get a report and it's just one singular phenomena, especially when you start delving into it and started talking to the people and start going out and looking. There's something else that is usually popping up that we can attribute to what they're seeing, or in something the witness wouldn't even have connected with what they were seeing, and it evolves.
For people who may not know what creepypasta is, maybe tell our listeners what it's all about.
Well, creepypasta can be defined as something that's a meme, basically. It's something that was seen on the internet, or read in a book, or their illustrations, and it gets to the point where it may seem very unbelievable. Most people will not believe it. They don't believe it happens. They'll be very skeptical of the phenomena. But sometimes it shows up on another level to where it's very similar to what people were calling creepypasta. And then there you go. But for the most part, those memes stay as memes. They're, even though it gets, some investigators will try to elevate it to a real life flesh and blood, or other phenomena, or a non-corporeal phenomena. But no, it's that's what creepypasta is. Basically a meme, but sometimes it comes to that next level to where it goes beyond that.
Yeah, and for a lot of people out there, it's become a very, very highly profitable type of YouTube channel for these storytellings, where guys who have very creative writing tell these stories, And I know a good friend, Swamp Dweller, we call him around here. He is very good at those stories, and many others are. And it just seems to captivate you like an online horror movie that you could just listen to in the middle of the night as you're falling asleep.
Absolutely. I mean, this, and this is something in a way it kind of upsets me because with the advent of AI, it's just so easy for somebody to put in a couple sentences and search and have a story written out for them, and then they'll report it as being an actual account. That's why I'm proud of my stories and the people I work with. Um, Actually reporting on real phenomena that people are actually reporting to us about. And yeah, I think AI is going to change a lot of that. I see it now, and I don't particularly like it, but it's there, and we're going to have to deal with it. And I think as time goes on, people are going to have to recognize if they want to be entertained or they want the truth.
That's a quite an interesting one. But I mean, how can putting energy into some of these creatures, and I think of Hat Man and Siren Head, I know I've said them a number of times today,
Mhm.
but but putting energy into them has almost created these good people having these sightings.
Well, I mentioned tulpas and thought forms. I think, the human mind's a really strange thing. Um, you know, it all first started out with poltergeist activity. People were mind manifesting these supposedly non corporeal beings, but they would mind manifest these supposed creatures or possibly spirits or like spirits, and it would eventually evolve and get worse and worse. And it just depends on the situation, on um, the person who's actually doing the manifesting, what their situation is in life, if there's some type of dysfunction or some type of illness or death or something associated with it, that if it's serious enough, it can really go beyond control. And I've been called on several of those type of cases.
What kind of case excites you? As we got about 90 seconds to go here.
Something unusual, something very unusual that I have no answer for, that I can get team members involved with and we can look into. Um, I, it's nothing in particular, but there's always something that's out there. That's gonna raise your expectations. I've had a few decent cases and long term cases over the years. I've had some pretty serious hauntings and manifestations and infestations in particular of either spirit or other types of malevolent beings, if you want to call them that. Like I've told you before, I've had cases where I've been involved for a number of years and even decades, actually. So, there's just really so much out there that, in my case in particular, if there's just not really any reason to get bored with this thing, with any of this. I'm always hearing or seeing or experiencing something with witnesses that keeps me guessing. And of course, you know me, I'm not afraid to put it out there. And of course, I get a lot of skepticism behind that. But,
And on that
it
note,
is
I'm
what
going
it
to
is.
right there. Lon Strickler, Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio continues after this, where we look at the Glimmer Man. Next. All right, we are clear. Mr. Cowley, welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. Bobbert, how you doing? Hello there, Aramthea. Nice to see you. Big fan of her art. You want to see good art? Go to Aramthea's art by Aramthea. Aramathea, pardon me. Aramathea. Yeah, art by Aramathea on Facebook. I'm going to put the link up. Hold on. And she's a BC artist, too. Art or spirit art by Aramathea. There it is. I'm going to put it up right now. Put a link in there. You want some beautiful art? Go here and buy it. Right there. I put the link in. There it is. There's the link. Right there. Go check it on out. She's absolutely amazing. On a scale of 1 to 5 claps, she's a 5 clapper, people. She's a 5 clapper. Hey, Blob, how you doing, buddy? Let's take a look at Blob here. Take a look at Blob. Oh, we gotta just, there we go. There's Blob tonight.
Look at that high quality organic blob.
Organic Blob, that's right. Rough Rider, what happens on strike 3? We're Canadian. We gave her 2 more. Seriously, go check out her art. It's freaking amazing. Give her
Those
page
Canadians.
a like. Yeah. What is it with Canadians and artists?
We're just that good, Dave.
Mm-hmm. Mike Rivers, how you doing? I'm not into saying much either tonight, Mike. I really needed Blob tonight, man. I'll be honest with you. My depression is kind of kicked in today, so I'm kind of battling that. So having Blob here is
that
pretty damn
blob.
good. Look at that Blob.
She was snoring. I woke her up. I apologize, everybody. It's terrible.
Blob therapy.
Yep. Where's your cat, Lon?
Sleeping over here on the sofa.
Mm-hmm.
Cats in their sofas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just raised his head up. He heard me talking. Vinny. He don't want to make an appearance.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Spencer. Now, once again, if you haven't checked it out yet, here's my good friend, Aramathea. We're going to put her Facebook page up here. Go give it a like. Hit the follow. Buy some art. I'm only saying that because she makes damn good stuff. Damn good stuff. And she ships all over the world. Chatbot Marco, how you doing? Morning, Ian McFadden. Thanks, buddy. Much love to you, my man. That's good blobbing tonight. Very good blobbing.
She's vibrating. Her little cat motor's going.
Oh, she's purring, eh? She's such a diva.
Everybody loves you, Blob.
Such a diva.
Oh, she does have some nice stuff.
Yeah. Aramathea has some great stuff on there. Thank you, Lord Forrest Louis times 5. La 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 la. Bright Science Bob. Carl for the super chats. Very much appreciate the love. Oh, and Pixie Lara too. Thank you. Very much appreciate the love. If you haven't already, do us a favor. Go shopping in our Spaced Out Radio store. There we go. And we're on here in like 10 seconds. 5 seconds. 2 seconds. Here we go. Here we go, the second half hour, Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Forgot what I was going to say there for a second. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com. He's here for his monthly appearance, what we call Strange Days. So we're going to get into this creature called the Glimmer Man. Lon, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
All right. What's the Glimmer Man?
I wish we knew what the Glimmer Man was. There's a lot of theories as to what it is. People say that it may be an actual alien, like the Predator alien, or it may be some type of cloaked cryptid. I mean, it's a whole number of things it could be, but for the most part, what people see is something that it looks like a semi-invisible form. Many times people see them in trees. Sometimes they see them on the ground walking, but many times it's bigger than a human for the most part. But you know, the glassine-like shimmering effect is distinguishable, and it sets itself apart from the background, and people can see it, but they just don't know what it is. But for the most part, it's got a humanoid type of form to it, and for whatever reason, they just seem to show up out of nowhere. I wish I could give you a better answer, but we just don't know what it is.
Now, when I think Glimmer Man, it takes me back to the movie Predator, where the Predator creature had this glimmering image that it could camouflage itself within the forest and make itself invisible. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of what people are seeing?
That's exactly the way people are describing it. Exactly how they describe it.
Okay, so the fact that we have people seeing these things, how often are they being seen?
I probably get 1 to 2 a week, if not more. Just depends. I did send you 2 examples for the show, but I find, it's not always people contacting me. Many times it's people referring me to something that they say, well, maybe a Glimmer Man once you look at it and check it out and contact the person. But you're seeing these stories coming up more and more. Sure, you got to first wonder if it's just something that's made up. And I will not post unless I get in contact with the individual. I mean, pretty reputable people that are seeing these things around their homes for the most part. Every once in a while, they'll see something like it crossing the road. I tell you, years ago, and I didn't keep these examples because we didn't know anything about the Glimmer Man. And this was even before the Predator movies came out. But up in Maine, for the most part, we're getting a lot of sightings of these invisible Bigfoot-shaped beings walking across roads in front of cars. Now we still get these things that have a shape of a Bigfoot or some other type of cryptid. But I was getting those 25, 30 years ago. So yeah, I mean, is it a cryptid that has an ability, a supernatural ability to camouflage itself? There have been a lot of theories about that. I mean, people have said that for years that they believe Bigfoot can camouflage itself. You know, we get reports a lot where somebody has seen a Bigfoot or, you know, say they're in the woods and they see this thing at a somewhat of a distance, but they can, when the creature looks at them, it kind of acts surprised, like, you know, it realizes that the person is seeing it. I mean, it was it to the point where they were actually trying to camouflage themselves, or they came out of it unknowingly, or what? But we hear that a lot.
Have these glimmer men type creatures been seen coming after people or animals?
As far as chasing, or no, not necessarily. For the most part, they seem to be very, very interested in the human subjects. For instance, a lot of times they're being seen by hunters, especially hunters that are up in tree stands, and they'll notice a branch or something on another tree in a distance moving, and they'll kind of squint and look at it, and then they see this form, and it just sits there, barely moving, but they can tell it's looking at them. Sometimes the eyes even light up. We've had instances where the eyes, for the most part, a lot of them are yellow looking, but there are eyes many times. So you figure you see a large glimmering figure in a tree with yellow eyes looking in your direction. I mean, that's got to put a chill up and down your spine. Yeah, that's what people are reporting.
Wow. How often have these been seen?
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, like I said, I first started getting reports 25, 30 years ago, and that's before even the phenomena even started picking up. And I believe they were possibly Bigfoot that were actually camouflaging somehow. But I'd say over the past decade, maybe a little longer than that, we've been getting more and more sightings of humanoid-like beings. And of course, people will say, well, they've seen the Predator movies. These are tulpas. People are manifesting these things or imagining that they're seeing them. Well, you know, we've had people who had never seen the Predator movies or anything even close to what they're seeing see these creatures. So, yeah, I mean, it's not just one place. It's all over the country, all over the world, but many of them are in North America. So, yeah, people are definitely seeing them.
Are they being seen outside of the United States?
Sure. Not to the degree, but I think it has a lot to do with, you know, people reporting. Maybe other investigators in other countries are getting these sightings. I just don't see a whole lot of them. But we do get some up in Canada, but for the most part, they're in the United States.
Now, I have heard reports about creatures having translucent hair.
Mm-hmm.
That's why many people believe Sasquatch might be able to just vanish and disappear. There are other creatures, animals that have translucent hair that allows them to blend into nature a little bit more. Do you think this could be an actual cryptid or maybe a creature that we don't know of?
Oh, it could be either one, I'd say. I'd say it could be both. You know, I've heard the reports of Bigfoot being, say the Bigfoot's in a forest, you've got a canopy, but there's some light coming through every once in a while, and they'll see the Bigfoot or the Sasquatch, and it'll move a little bit, and walk into a beam of sunlight and just disappear. For some reason, the sunlight camouflages them. Is it some type of effect that the light has on the fur or on the hair? Possibility. I mean, the hair, some examples that we have heard about and have seen where the hair is somewhat hollow, but it's got like a core in it. It's not like human hair or any other animal. The only animal that it would closely mimic would be that of a deer. The deer have a kind of a spongy type of hair. And I've heard hunters tell me that they've seen deer literally go into sunlight and just fade off and then come out of sunlight and they show up again. So maybe it is something to do with the light.
Moose are like that too.
Yeah.
And also polar bears. Polar bears have translucent hair. Their skin is actually black in order to absorb heat. But their fur, it looks white, but it's actually translucent and can change color very easily. That's why when it kills a seal or a narwhal or something along those lines, the blood doesn't stick to the hair. It washes off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I've heard examples of different examples, but like I said, any type of species of deer, including moose or something, I've heard that a lot from hunters. So there very well may be something to it.
Well, let's read one of these stories here.
Okay.
A boy who disappears in California State Park is later found in good shape after being missing for 2 weeks. The boy says he was taken by the Fuzzy Man, but was later released. The following account was forwarded to me 3 years ago, and I posted it, but I now believe that it could have been a Glimmer Man. My friend, who has been with the Search and Rescue Service in Northern California for many years, has had a life full of strange encounters and occurrences. I mentioned to her that I was interested in hearing about any experiences she had with people completely disappearing. Her eyes lit up, and she leans in close to me and says, "Want to hear a real doozy?" She tells me about how when she first started, there was a case that got a lot of attention in the media. A family had been out berry picking in an area of the forest very close to the entrance of the park. They had 2 little boys, both under the age of 5. And at some point during the day, one of them vanished. There's a massive search and they find nothing. It's another one of those cases where it's like the kid was never there in the first place. The dogs just sit down and don't pick up on anything. No trace of the kid is found. The search goes on for about 2 months, but is eventually called off. Fast forward to 6 months later, the family comes back to place flowers at a memorial that has been set up there for the kid. They bring their other son. While they were placing flowers, they lose sight of the kid for about 3 seconds. And in that period, he vanishes into thin air. Now, obviously, the parents are beyond devastated. It's an awful enough to lose one child, but to lose 2 is beyond imagination. The search is huge, one of the largest in state history. About 300 volunteers are combing each and every inch of this park, looking for the kid. But again, there is no trace of him. The search goes on for about a week, with people looking miles from the part of the park from where he vanished. And then, almost 2 weeks later, a volunteer, almost 15 miles from his designated search area, radios in that he found the kid. They assume that the kid was dead, but the volunteer says he's not only alive, he's in good shape. My friend's team went out to recover the kid, and when they got there, she couldn't believe that this was the kid that's been missing. His clothes were clean, there's no dirt on him anywhere, and he doesn't appear traumatized. The volunteer said he found the kid sitting on a log playing with a little twig bundle that was bound together with some old rope. She asked where he's been and who he was with for those 2 weeks, and the kid tells her that he's been with the Fuzzy Man. Now, my friend firmly believes in Bigfoot, so she gets all excited and asks what he means by fuzzy. Was he hairy? But the kid says no, he wasn't hairy. He was fuzzy, a fuzzy man. And he describes a blurry man, like when you close your eyes, but not all the way closed. He says the man came out of the trees, took the kid, with him deep into the woods. The kid said he slept in a hollow tree, and the fuzzy man gave him berries to eat. My friend asked if the man was mean, if he scared the kid, and the kid said no, he wasn't scary, but I didn't like how he didn't have eyes. My friend said that they got my friend says they get the kid back to headquarters, and a cop takes him into town to talk to him more about what happened. She's friends with a cop who talked to him, and she said the kid described being kept in this tree by the fuzzy man and given berries whenever he was hungry. He was allowed to wander around a very specific clearing, but when he tried to go further, the fuzzy man would get mad and yell real loud even though he didn't have a mouth. When the kid got scared at night, the fuzzy man made it get brighter and gave him the twig bundle. He said the fuzzy man was going to keep him, but he had to let him go because the kid wasn't the right kind. He either can't or won't elaborate more on that. The cops are just sort of felt like they're scratching their head, and the search for his brother is renewed with no results. The kid has no idea where his brother might be, and they never find him. What is this all about?
Well, it is what it is. I mean, I didn't really think much about it until I mentioned this account on my show. And there were people telling me in the comments that, was this a glimmer man? And I got to thinking about it, and I thought, you know what? This may very well have been a glimmer man, just by what the description that the child gave. So I'm not sure if that's what it was, but boy, it sure sounds like some of the descriptions that we have received over the years. So,
no eyes, no mouth.
Yeah, no mouth. Now, I have heard these things making clicking sounds, but not voice. So it's not beyond the possibility that maybe this thing was some type of humanoid that had a mouth that spoke English or mimicked English, and had the ability to, manifest into this glimmer man or to this invisible being. So it's bizarre. I agree, it's bizarre. Now I looked into a lot of different sources. This supposedly happened in Northern California. From what I understood, that the first child was never found. Now, I don't know if this same creature took the child. You kind of would think it would have, since it was this, it vanished the same way as the one that was found. Maybe the child got away from it and got hurt and died or whatever. But the fact that they did find the second son, and he came up with this story saying that it had no hair. First thing you think is, well, maybe a Bigfoot got a hold of it, and we've had accounts where Bigfoot have nurtured children that they found lost in the woods or whatever. But this was something entirely different. So I think it very well could have been one of these creatures.
I don't understand what the young boy meant by he wasn't the right type of kid.
Yeah, that's something I don't understand either, but he wouldn't elaborate on it. That I find that interesting, but it's I don't know what's the reckoning behind that. We have no idea.
Do you think that maybe he wasn't the right type of kid for food, or do you think like becoming a meal, or do you think that maybe that these special type of kids could be used for other sorts of labor, or maybe I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, it's beyond rule. I mean, you could speculate all you want, but you're not really going to be able to come up with an answer. If you think about it, you would think, well, maybe it was some type of abduction, some type of alien abduction scenario where, this child just was not right for what they wanted it for, or what it wanted it for. I mean, you just don't really know.
Like, it makes me wonder if the kid was sick or ill, or or maybe had some sort of mental health issue or whatever, that maybe they just looked at the boy and said, you're not for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting account. It's very interesting, but unfortunately, we don't have much more than what we do. And
Man, I mean, if he was found in that area 15 miles away, it like, I know you don't have the answers because you were just given the report. But I
Mhm.
mean, for me, I would want to know. Obviously, they should have conducted their search in that area to find the clues that the boy did have: hollow trees and the berries and all sorts of stuff. Berries just aren't all over the forest. They grow in bunches in certain areas.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, everything you've said there makes a lot of sense, but we just don't know. The kid, from the witnesses themselves, just and the search and rescue person, uh, the kid just never gave him answers. Now they might have talked to the police and gone a little more in depth, but there was never anything released as far as any further information.
See, what
I contacted Dave Pilates about this as well, and I never got an answer back. So I don't know what the whole situation is, but I
and
don't
what
know.
bugs me about that, whether it's this case, whether it's the young lad in Montana, or the young lad who slept with a teddy bear in North Carolina a
Hmm.
couple of winters ago,
Hmm.
these kids are innocent. They're only going to tell you what they know. But I mean, to go back to that boy in Montana, Riker was his name, who was found after 2 days in a shed without a scratch on him.
Hmm.
But he had that soldier's 1,000-foot stare at 3 years old. I mean, I could just imagine what that young man had seen or what these kids were going through. And there's more to this story. And the problem is, these types of stories, Lon, you're never going to get the answers from the police. They
No.
don't get it out.
It's just like an abduction scenario. Many times, a lot of memory is repressed, especially with a young child. Maybe 20, 30 years down the road, something goes off and they remember. I have heard that from many experiencers over the years where, they had no clue that they were abducted, or if they have any thoughts that they were abducted, they don't remember anything. But then something will occur where it just suddenly pops up in their head and they have full recall. Maybe that'll happen with this child. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you got to wonder, are they going to put the child through some sort of regressive type therapy or
Hmm.
something along that line? I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, the authorities, if they do anything, you're not going to hear about it. But maybe someone will be lucky enough to find out. I have put it out there, so hopefully I'll get some answers. If I do, you'll be the first to know. But I just don't know. I really don't know. And, I don't want to really speculate, but it's quite an interesting an account. And, and thanks to my listeners on the show, they brought that Glimmerman theory right. I never even thought about that. But, yeah, may
So
very
weird.
well be that. Yeah.
So weird. Lon, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because when you come back, we are going to take another Glimmerman story that you have had reported to phantomsandmonsters.com, which is going to make it just as awesome. And we'll continue with audience reaction after that. We'll also get to some audience questions in hour number 2, which will make things really good. Really good, because we love including the audience on here. Lon Strickler at Strange Days, his website, phantomsandmonsters.com. We will be right back right after this on Spaced Out Radio. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Lon, we are clear Let's turn it over to the dirty one himself, Mr. Filth. You know, on Planet Zeta. Holy smokes, a NASA. Sure, but play off the Nyborg. Very nice. Very nice, dirty.
I'd like to thank my pal Ward for the idea. Thanks, Warren. You're probably listening.
I like the giant mushrooms.
I think you could probably have mushrooms. High Mennonite Abe.
I like to see the mushrooms get up and walk away.
What about those moving trees? I always thought that was weird.
You know, I have had some really cool stories about moving trees. And maybe I'll have to dig some of those up for the next time.
Yeah, that'd be good. I have to draw one of those. I was just thinking about that earlier today.
Pretty bizarre.
I mean, you see videos of trees moving and junk. Okay, it could be shaking, but then you see the things just straight up moving across the. I don't know. I mean, instead of angry Sasquatch pulling that out. And
well, that's what people say. Well, maybe it's a Sasquatch. He was just picking up the tree and carrying it somewhere. I have had accounts. I had one in New Jersey, not just north of the Pine Barrens, where somebody literally saw a Sasquatch pull a tree up and walked off with it. I mean, that's what they reported to me. It wasn't just one witness, it was two witnesses. But they were hiking and they saw the trees shaking and they got a little closer and when they saw the tree start moving away, it started coming towards them. They saw the Bigfoot. But yeah, that's pretty wild.
That'd be fairly terrifying for sure.
Yeah, that would terrify the hell out of me.
I would definitely have to change my shorts after that. I mean, Sasquatch is one thing. I mean, great big huge Sasquatch with a tree. I mean, club you over the head with that. It's game over.
You know, that's why I find it interesting when people say, well, you know, you had that Bigfoot encounter. You're so close to it. How did you react? I didn't even have it. And that's why I kind of commiserate with other witnesses. You know, your jaw is dropping and you have no idea what the hell you're looking at. And that was back in 81. So it isn't like I could pull a phone out and take a photograph. But, you know, the shock of something like that is, you know, it's hard to describe. Let alone a Bigfoot coming towards you with a tree.
I mean, I think I've said this before. I seen a fox one time and her kits just coming down out of a ditch and up onto the road. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen a fox before in person.
Oh,
and it was the coolest thing. And I had to stand there and look at it. And I didn't think to take out my phone or anything. It was the last thing in my mind. I was like, first it was like, that's a fox. That is a fox. Holy crap. So, I mean, you know, you got Sasquatch that can apparently turn invisible. Then
I tell you, one of the most bizarre things that ever happened to me personally, other than, you know, some of the things I've talked about, but I was just young when this happened. I used to do a lot of squirrel hunting when I was younger. And I was in my aunt and uncle's woods, and I used to go squirrel hunting there all the time. I don't know, I was like 13 or 14 years old. And I shot this squirrel out of a hickory tree. The squirrel fell out of the tree and started running towards me and screaming. I blasted the hell out of that squirrel. I didn't know he was going to come up and bite me, but he was making a beeline right towards me.
Damn.
I tell you, and just being a kid, I was scared to death. I didn't know what the hell was wrong with that
hit
squirrel.
Him with a steel chair or something?
No, I shot him again.
Second time good enough?
Yeah, I got him the second time. It wasn't much left to him because he was pretty close, but he was, yeah, I had 12 gauge, and of course I only had 6 shot, but, you know, he was so close, I pretty well obliterated him.
What kind? I mean, how big? I got to ask because I lived in Vancouver. Their squirrels are like small cat size, and I live in Alberta now. And
Yeah.
our squirrels are just little tiny guys. Was it a bigger one or a smaller one?
No, it was a regular gray squirrel. I'd say regular squirrel size. Yeah, of course, I know up in Canada they've got the black squirrel, and sometimes they get some bigger ones up there.
Yeah, those things are browdy.
Yeah, yeah. I used to live up in Hamilton. I lived in Hamilton for, I don't know, about 8 or 9 months, and there was a park there, and I tell you, the black squirrels used to fascinate the hell out of me. I thought they were so cool looking, but
they're an invasive species.
Huh?
They're an invasive species.
Well, I mean, the gray squirrels that are moving up there from the United States up into Canada. Blob.
Good old Blobbert. Look at that.
So the black squirrels are an invasive species.
Yeah.
Are they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're all over Stanley Park in Vancouver. We got 25 seconds left. Thank you to Louis ×5, Lara, Lala, Science Bob, and Human Carl for the super chats. Hi there, Christine, Free Your Mind. And who else? Sally Elka, nice to see you. Corey Cole, Frankie on Twitch, thank you for coming on in. Earth Turtle, welcome to SOR chat. And here we go, everybody. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. And what do you got for us tonight, Clam? Well, let's take a look. It is Ichneumous. Ichneumous is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go with hour 2 of Strange Days with Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com. Lon, it's always a pleasure to have you here. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Always great to be with you, Dave.
Always great to have you here as well. We have been talking about these glimmer men. So for people who are just joining us, it's these strange creatures that seem to have sheen off of them coming from the sunlight or daylight. They sometimes have a face. They don't have a face. People can't really tell the shape of them, whether they're bigger than a human, smaller than a human. They seem to be all over the map, and the sightings are far few between, but they are happening. And Lon, let's get to another story here that you have for us, because I think these stories are just incredible. Absolutely incredible. And let's go to number 2 here. A northern Frederick County, Maryland resident recalls their sighting of a glimmer man in the trees behind their home. They only saw it once, but it made a lasting impression. You receive the following. I've been reading about the Glimmerman phenomena and its similarity to the cloaked alien in the Predator film series. I saw something very similar a few years ago. It was probably about 4 years ago. I lived in the very northern part of Frederick County, Maryland, near Thurmont, not too far south of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Behind my house was a few acres of woods with a small creek right past the tree line. We had about 2 acres of lawn before the woods started. The area of Frederick County is very rural, with lots of forests and farms, very near Cunningham Falls State Park, a huge wooded area with lakes and the tallest waterfall in the state. In fact, Camp David is in the area. Anyway, I was sitting on my second-story back deck, and I noticed some movement in the tree line. It was a nice day, I think early fall. It was not too hot of a day and not raining. I saw the outline of something big moving perpendicular away from me in the woods. It was a shimmer, like heat waves, completely invisible, except you can see the air being displaced, and made me think of the predator right away because it was just like the heat waves rising from a hot surface. It seemed to be a humanoid shape in that it was taller than wide, like a tall, fit bipedal outline. It was hard to judge the height from my perspective and the distance, but it was taller than the average man, probably about 10 feet tall at least. I never heard someone else see something similar like this before. I only saw it once, and that was enough for me. Wow, Lon,
Mhm.
that is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's an area where we do have a lot of things seen. I talked to you about a cryptid canine sighting there not long ago that we investigated near Camp David. Um, yeah, I mean, I got that directly from the witness about 2 weeks ago. So, the Gettysburg area, Northern Maryland area, a lot of history, but a lot of different phenomena as well. And it's just down the road from me. I only live about 11 miles from Gettysburg. So, yeah, we get a lot of stories around this area.
Man, I couldn't imagine what that is like. All of a sudden, you're sitting on your balcony having a good time, and boom, there's this thing that you can't really see what it is all about. I mean, but I'd never heard the Glimmerman being almost like heat wave signatures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, people describe it in different ways. They describe it as a glassine. How glassine looks, or like a heat wave, or a glimmering surface of the water, or something. We get all kinds of different descriptions, but all in all, they're about the same. But this phenomena is becoming more and more prevalent, and like I said before, we're writing a book about it, and hopefully we'll get that out sometime this year. But it's something that's just really not been discussed in a whole lot of places, but though it is becoming more and more known now.
That is incredible. Do you expect more of these type of reports to start coming in?
Oh, I believe so. It's getting out there more. So yeah, I'm quite sure there will be. Um, just like anything else, you got to make sure people just aren't, making these stories up. You want to talk to them, you want to contact them and get more information. I like to get as specific locations and other real detailed information with these type of sightings. Well, almost all sightings I get, but in particular these, because it's just fascinating how they just seem to turn up in different places, but they do turn up around homes a lot.
Wow. What do you think their association with homes are?
I don't know. Maybe they're just curious about who's living there. Peeping Toms, I guess. I don't know. I just said that. No, but like I said, that these the hunter, they see hunters, and they seem to be curious about hunters and tree stands, and people that are around their homes. I had one about a year or so ago, a woman who had a toddler, and they went out into the woods near their home to have a picnic or the kid to play. And they heard this clicking sound, and they saw and the child was looking up in the tree, and she couldn't understand why it kept looking up in the tree. And he was kind of murmuring that something was there. Of course he couldn't talk yet, and he was pointing and looking at it, and she saw this thing. And apparently she freaked out, grabbed the kid, left everything in the woods, their picnic stuff and the kids' toys. Her husband came home that day. He went out and got everything. He didn't see it, but she did tell me that for a number of weeks she heard that clicking sound out in the woods at night. So she knew it was out there.
Do we know what the clicking sound sounds like?
Like that.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Weird. I don't know how I would react to hearing that. I really don't. I mean, Lon, there are very few things that scare me, but I think hearing clicking sounds in the middle of the forest would not be beneficial to what I want to hear. I mean, I do recall in my own driveway one time hearing a conversation between aliens, and it was right out of the movie Signs. Remember the old remember
Yeah.
when the boy held up the baby monitor and you could hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that happening in my yard one night.
Uh-huh.
That was there was one in my backyard and one up my driveway, and it was a conversation, man. I'm standing on my patio in between listening to this conversation. Right?
Yeah, that was my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie. It was pretty strange.
Oh man. Yeah. That's when he made good movies back then.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a classic. It really was. Great movie.
Yeah, here. Oh, just sends chills down your spine. Let's get to some audience questions. We have a number of them, and there's a couple questions that I want to elaborate on here. All right, let's start off with Science Bob, who is hanging on out. Lon, do you believe that many things are like Slender Man and make monsters from our id, our subconscious minds?
Oh, I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. I believe that's absolutely possible. When we talk about thought forms or talk about tulpas, I think, the subconscious mind could absolutely develop something like that and manifest it, at least to the person who's actually doing the manifesting. They may have an insight and they can see this thing as opposed to anybody around them. But I think it's entirely possible.
Oh, wow. Wow. All right. Well, let's take another question here. Let's go to Pixie Lara. How recently did the Glimmerman report start?
Well, the early ones, like I said before, were maybe about 25, 30 years ago with the possible Bigfoot. But the ones that we're getting more and more with the humanoid type beings, probably 10 to 12 years ago. That's when I started hearing about them. Me and the guys I'm doing the book with, the guys from Expanded Perspectives Radio, the podcast, we've been friends and collaborated a lot on a lot of this. And the Glimmerman's kind of something we've really taken a shine to. So, I guess about a 10, 12 years. Yeah.
Oh, man. Were they seen before the Predator movie?
That's something I don't know. A lot of these films or a lot of these productions, you would think, like legends go, somebody who's a screenwriter, maybe they saw something at one point or heard a story and elaborated on it. Maybe it was the result of somebody seeing something similar to this and incorporating into a screenplay.
I don't know. I don't know. That just scares. Could you imagine? Like probably the most famous case of Glimmerman happened with Bruce Maccabee's wife, Jan. Now, people who don't know who Bruce Maccabee is,
well, I tell you, that's when it really started. That's when it really first got out there, when she saw it while hunting. Yeah.
Okay. So the story goes, and this is on actually David Paulides' Missing 411, the Hunters episode that you could go on I believe Netflix or Amazon and check it on out. But basically the gist of the story is they had her and Bruce. Bruce is very well known over the last 50 years on being involved in ufology. And in fact, there was this group made up called the Aviary, who apparently knew all the secrets to ufology. And at that time, Bruce was one of the birds in the aviary. Now, I forget which bird he was, like a seagull or something along those lines, but they all had code names of birds. So she's out hunting on their property one night before company comes, because she's trying to get this buck deer on their acreage. And she's sitting up in her deer stand when all of a sudden she starts hearing these noises coming from the trees. And she looks over and she sees this thing swinging like a monkey through the trees and parks on the tree next to her. Now she's in camouflage. She doesn't know if this creature can actually see her. And she's standing still. And she actually had the fortitude to take photos of it. And then when it seemed to like peer on over, look at her, and then it left, it took off back through the trees, making the noises once again. And she stayed up there for a little bit longer, still waiting for that deer before she made her way down and got home. But at that exact same time that was happening, the high school band was preparing for, I believe, the homecoming football game. And they were on the field, the football field, practicing for the big game on Friday Night Lights. And what did they see over above them? A giant UFO hovering above them at the exact same time this was happening.
Yeah, that was in Ohio. True story.
Coincidence?
We have lots of examples of UFOs showing up and vice versa. And, other phenomena showing up in relation to UFOs. I mean, ask Stan Gordon. He'll tell you a lot of stories about that.
Oh, yeah. Stan is.
I think Bruce at one point said that he believed it was probably a Bigfoot or camouflage Bigfoot. I don't know. I've heard people say that. I haven't talked to him about that. But I don't know. Yeah, that was probably one of the earlier stories that got out there, or accounts that got out there about this phenomena. Of course, we didn't have a name for it back then, and I don't even know where the Glimmer Man name came up. I don't know if it was us that came up with it or what it was, but that's the moniker they use now. So I don't know if it was between myself and the guy and Kyle and Cam that came up with that name. I don't know what the deal was, but anyway, I do know that's what we call it now.
So weird.
Yep.
This
it is
question
bizarre.
By Ian in the UK. What came first, the movie or Glimmer Man?
That's just it. Do we know? It's just like the same thing with the Jeepers Creepers thing and the winged humanoids. What came first?
I don't know.
Don't know.
Let's go to Digger Dog. Supernatural ability. For them, is it a supernatural or a natural ability for these Glimmermen?
Very possibly could be. It's something that they wouldn't consider supernatural, just nature for them. We a lot of us theorize that a lot of cryptids or even alien beings or interdimensional beings, and they have the abilities to move in and out between our world and another world or another linear dimension, and when they get to our Earth plane, do they, is camouflaging just part of what they do? We just don't know.
We just don't know. Let's get to another question. Let's go to Dizzy. Witnesses calling Lon are probably in trauma or shock from their encounters. Lon, how do you help these people?
Oh, God. For the most part, I don't think by the time I get the story, they're in shock. It's probably happened a while previous to that, though I will say a lot of the sightings that we got from Chicago were very instantaneous. I was getting reports within a half an hour of the sighting. And I will say some of those people were really freaked out. It was to the point where, they could put enough information into Google to where our name would come up and, they could very quickly talk to us. But I'd say at least a dozen of the sightings that we have received from the Chicago area, these winged humanoids, are instantaneous. Something where they talk to us very quickly. And I'd say the reaction most of them had was, other than the shock, probably the reaction that they were fearful about even really talking about it, because, and I've heard this many times from witnesses, if I talk about it, this thing might come back. That weighs on their mind. And of course, you try to talk them out of it. You try to say, well, I doubt that's going to happen. But who knows?
You never know. You never know, my man. Let's move on to a different question here. Let's go over to Dizzy again. Lon, have you ever tried to initiate communication with any cryptids, any crawlers particularly?
I haven't. And quite frankly, I don't know many people that have. Crawlers in particular, because those things are so freaky. I don't think people even want to get near those things if they can possibly do it. They just seem to show up. I wrote a book about those things, and I still don't know what the hell they are and how they manifest or how they show up or what they even may be. I called them the meme humanoids basically because they kind of have that creepy pasta, similarity to them, but people swear that they're actually flesh and blood beings or corporeal beings. So as far as communicating with them, I think people have tried to communicate with Bigfoot and other, in particular. I don't think many of them have been very successful, and we don't hear a lot about that.
What do you think, for people who may not know what a crawler is or a night crawler is, could you maybe give just a quick description of that?
Well, the crawler humanoids, for the most part, are very pale, featureless humanoids. They have very long, skinny arms and legs and a very thin body, somewhat emaciated. Many times they have a head, it looks like a human head, but they're no features on them. Sometimes there will be maybe some black eyes, maybe what looks like a mouth, but there's no hair. And they're very pale, and they move very weirdly. There was a phenomena that was going on up in the Sierra Nevadas that I documented and wrote about, where people were calling this thing Penelope. And I don't know if you and I talked about that or not. Maybe I'll dig all those up the next time. I'll dig up the Penelope legend. But anyway, it was basically what people described it as, a crawler humanoid that was either seen walking or crawling on four legs, on two arms and two legs. And they were different. It showed up in different ways, but it was always around the same area in the Sierra Nevadas. And I even talked to a ranger who verified that's what people were calling it. And when I first heard about that, I went searching for this Penelope moniker that people were using, and I did find it in one case. It was in the Sierra Nevadas, and but that's when I found out where it happened, I got a hold of the nearest ranger station around that area. I do have it written down where exactly it was, but anyway, but we had about 3 or 4 sightings of this thing, and the Penelope thing kept coming up, and I put it in my book, The Meme Humanoids. So
hold on.
We'll bring it up next time.
Absolutely. We got Lon Strickler for another 30 minutes on Spaced Out Radio. Strange Days continues right after this. So stay tuned. We're coming right back.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Hi, JBD. How you doing? Necessary dialogue. Welcome to SOR chat. Mm-hmm. Flying on by tonight, Lon.
Yeah. Well, I got some decent accounts.
I can just see me going to my Bigfoot area, or one of the two of them, and just having some of this crap happen.
Just by talking and thinking about it, they show up.
If I ever see one, now this is going to be my reaction. I'm going to be throwing my fist at it, saying, F you, Lon Strickler. F you. Then I'm going to ask
you can't blame me.
I'm going to ask if I could take a picture, pose for a picture with it.
Well, look, if you get a picture of it, I want to see it.
Oh, my God. We're heading back into the forest at the end of June.
Are you?
To our one area. Merle is convinced that we have to stay the night there.
Oh, shit.
And I said, no. And he goes, yes, we're going to be in a tent. And I'm like, no.
After what you told me, I don't even know if I'd do that. I'd consider it, but I don't know if I'd even do it. You guys definitely have activity going on around there.
Lon, I'm not trying to put the energy out there, but I'm scared of this place. Okay. All right. I am scared of this place. And I'm not afraid to say it. I am scared of this place. And yes, we're all going to be armed. Okay. But I don't think what we're dealing with gives a care that we're armed.
It probably doesn't.
We have the trifecta happening in that area. We have paranormal, we have cryptids, and we got aliens.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. And I don't know how I'm going to sleep at night. And I don't want to be the only one awake, because we're not going to be able to make a fire to stay warm, because we'll be in the beginning of fire season. So fires are banned. Now, I'm all for staying in a trailer, a mile or two away from the site at night, because I still think we'd probably get action there.
Especially if we start banging on the trailer.
Yes. Yes. Penny Van says in the chat room, Dave, take me and I'll wear a suit of bacon and be bait while all of you run. You kidding me? If you're wearing a suit of bacon, Penny Van, I'm going to eat your arms myself.
Yeah, well, if I ever show up around there, you're definitely taking me there.
Oh, buddy, I will take you there in daytime, and you'll know what I mean by the creep factor. Like the minute you come up the hill towards the crash site, you can feel it. Actually, you could start to feel it about a mile and a half away.
Yeah, that's right. That was a crash site. Yeah, that energy is there.
Yeah. And like I said, I believe that the Sasquatch are protectors of that area.
Well, they're protecting spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and I told you that before. I thought that's probably why they're hanging around, because you get areas associated with human death, especially cemeteries and such. We get a lot of reports.
Well, I know
areas. Yeah,
it's because of doing this show with you and Butch is how I know this stuff, right? Yep. But man, if you ever get out here, I will take you there, and you can go and, you know, like, dude, we're talking in the middle of the night, okay? 11, 12 o'clock at night, where you're in the middle of the forest, nobody around, and all of a sudden female perfume starts wafting through your area. Like somebody just sprayed a can of or a bottle of female perfume right in front of you. Hi, Jessica Davenport. Hold on, Lon. Here we get going right now.
Okay.
Like 6 seconds. Okay, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Final time tonight, we say hello to Lon Strickler, Strange Days. Lon is from phantomsandmonsters.com. Lon, welcome back, my friend.
Good to be here, Dave.
We're doing some audience questions here.
Okay.
And let us continue with those as we have Ian here. Has anybody ever woken up that he's posting to the listeners, but I think it's a good question to ask you. Ever woken up with sleep paralysis and the room looks like full of smoke or haze?
I never have, but I have heard very similar scenarios like that. Absolutely. Usually, it's usually before an alien-like encounter. But that haze seems to show up for whatever reason.
What do you think that is? Is it ghostly?
I think I think my honest opinion, I think that these beings are coming interdimensionally into a room or something. I think the environment they came out of kind of trails behind them and comes with them. Now that's just my thought. I've had experiencers tell me that, they get all types of different odors as well. And there's a hazy kind of lit up type of fog or, but they do experience the sleep paralysis. And that's around the time they start seeing these beings. So, I think it's kind of part of the whole scenario itself. It's something wherever they come out of is, when they enter into the location, I think a lot of that trails with them.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Human Carl. During one of the breaks, you were talking about moving trees. Now, this isn't just trees in wind. These are trees where a lot of people claim to have set trail cameras up. And when they're going through their trail camera videos, the trees are moving. In one scene, they'll be, say, stationary at the left of the screen. And in the next, that tree is moved over 2, 3, 4, 5 inches, sometimes a foot to 2 foot. I've heard this happening in the northern peninsula of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about this.
Yeah, that does happen. You see, it's funny. You talked about the peninsula. I have heard that up there as well. But I have had, and I've seen videos of trees literally moving through the forest. I mean, upright. Just you don't really see how they're moving, but you see the canopy of the tree actually moving through the forest. And I was telling Dirty Filth about the one case in New Jersey, in a state park, one of the state parks just north of Pine Barrens, where this couple were out on the trail, and they saw this tree shaking ahead of them, and then it started moving. And they saw a Bigfoot, literally carrying this tree towards them.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I know, but it's weird. You know, I've seen several videos of trees moving through forest, and of course, when you see a tree shaking and it starts moving, first thing people say, "Oh, it's a Bigfoot picked up a tree, pulled it out of the ground, walking with it." Yeah, well, why would they do that? You know, but is there some type of natural phenomena that allows for trees to move? I don't know. But it is weird. I mean, it really is.
What
You know,
about
when I do a walking tree or moving tree not case, but do a post, that thing goes viral. It just goes nuts on the blog.
Is this a one of those scenarios that we're not paying enough attention to?
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
I have heard of videos where people will have a tree right in front of them. And in that video, for a split second or two, that tree will just vanish, disappear. And then all of a sudden, just like a bad editing job, the tree reappears right where it was stationary before.
Well, look, I've had cases of hauntings. One in particular, we had a case in Wales. I was on the computer. I was literally here in the U.S. watching this area of a basement, and there was a big old sewer line it was a flexible line, but it was coming off the ceiling because the bracket had broken and it was kind of hanging down. I literally saw that pipe or that sewer line disappear for about 15 seconds, then reappear. Wasn't anything wrong with the computer, or it just literally vanished. And I saw it reappearing.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, did something cross in front of it, or did it move into another dimension, or, what happened? That's one thing. That's one instance that I'll never forget. That was really weird. We had a lot of weird things going on in that location, but that was one of them. Yeah.
Do you think this is a natural occurring phenomena, or do you think that this is nature just kind of blipping in and out?
Well, the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it could be natural. There's a lot of stuff we just don't understand. I got to ask questions about a lot of different things. I don't have the answers for it, but quite frankly, what's natural and not natural is probably paranormal or supernatural to us, but maybe in the whole scheme of things, it's not really that unnatural.
It sounds really unnatural, my friend.
Yeah, I give you a headache.
Oh, for sure. For sure. All right. Let's move on here to another question so we could figure out how to make firewood out of these moving trees a little bit. Let's go to Dizzy. If we may be creating cryptid tulpas, any thoughts on how to uncreate them?
I saw that question come up in the comments. I guess it depends on the situation. Of course, if it's like a poltergeist type of thing, where basically a poltergeist is a tulpa. If the situation has changed, some of the factors are changed, some of the reasons why they're being manifested, yeah, you can change that. But as far as other phenomena, or creatures showing up out of nowhere, we've heard all kinds of stories about people be walking in a park and a saber-toothed tiger shows up, and where the hell did that thing come from? Was it mind manifested? Did it come through a portal? I don't know. Can we uncreate them? Doubtful. But, in certain situations, like with poltergeists and other tulpas or thought forms, yeah, I mean, if you can take the minutia out of it and kind of change the situation, eventually it'll end, but it takes a while.
Weird. I don't know how else to put that, but weird. Let's go to Philip. Do cryptids die, or do you think they are eternal?
I haven't found a dead cryptid yet, so I really don't know.
There's a lot of word that maybe. Here's one of my theories, Lon, and I just want you to
Okay.
think if it's plausible or not.
Okay.
There's a lot of people who go missing in these rock forests.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else to call them, rock forests, because they're not a quarry. And we have them here. And I will tell you, ever since I heard people like David Politis and Butch talking about these just rock areas where you'll be driving through the trees and all of a sudden you come across this area where for hundreds of feet, all it is boulders and rocks and lava rocks and every type of rock you could think of. There's no trees in between. It's like a dead area that's just been filled with rocks. And a lot of people apparently have gone missing in these rock areas. And these, like I said, you can't call them a quarry because they're not a quarry.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Do you think that maybe that cryptids like Bigfoot and other cryptids are actually using these rocks as maybe a burial ground or some sort of entrance to the underworld?
I have talked to several Bigfoot investigators, researchers over the years, and those areas where it's just lots of boulders, lots of rocks, very few trees. Many times they're in valleys or something, not necessarily quarries, but in valleys. They have told me that there is a feel to it. And of course, I'll ask them, well, do you think there are portals there? And they don't really know how to answer that because, look, if they're a flesh and blood believer and don't believe that there's anything supernatural about cryptids, let alone Bigfoot, they're not going to really give you much of an answer. But, it's got to be sitting in the back of their mind that, yeah, there might be something to that. So I have heard enough to make you think that maybe there is something about that. Somebody just posted up there about Gettysburg. Yeah, there's a perfect example. Gettysburg's got a very high bedrock, and it's all granite. And there's a lot of quartz there and limestone. And I think, Gettysburg, of course, saw a lot of death, a lot of destruction. And I think areas like that kind of hold energy. Do they form portals? I think it's absolutely possible. So who's to say that these areas as well with these boulders aren't the same type of thing?
Oh, they're so weird. The energy is weird around them too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that's the way I feel in Gettysburg. I mean, when I go to, I just live down the street. When I go in, every time I go into the park, it's like, oh my God, I sense something, feel something all the time. And, people will tell you the area around Devil's Den in particular, because it's all granite and, it's an area where a lot of weird things have been seen over years. I had my experience very near there. There's a certain energy. It's palpable. And, I think all that has happened there has just remained there and has increased and intensified over the years.
All right, let's move on to another question here. Let's go to Blue Cruise. Any imp, humanoid, inhumanoid, cryptid, etc. sightings and or encounters recently that you've had?
That I've had or that have been sent to me?
Well, first off, let's go with, have you had any?
No, not lately. I haven't. my last encounter was in '88, and that was the last one. But as far as, I hear about a lot of weird things all the time. Imp humanoids. I don't know what an imp humanoid. You talking about little people? I don't know.
Probably.
I get a lot of little people stories, more so now than I ever had. I get more fairy stories and more gnome stories than I used to. I don't know why, but I do. But overall, humanoids encrypted, sure, we get a lot of different things.
Okay, what kind of reports have you been getting recently then?
Well, little people
of anything. What's coming in?
Cases that I've been investigating personally in around my area, like I've told you before, I've been getting a lot of cryptid canine sightings. We got little people sightings not too far from here. UFO sightings, big cat sightings, Bigfoot sightings. We're getting a plethora of sightings. This winter has been pretty busy with sightings. I mean, the sightings not necessarily are new sightings, but they've been within a year or so. And it's pretty bizarre. I mean, guys on my team and I go out there and talk to these people. It's like, you just don't really know what to expect. But this part of the country is pretty active. And more so in the last couple of years. And this year in particular, from maybe midsummer up until just recently, we've been getting a lot of reports.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to, I think this year overall is going to be pretty busy. But I've said that before.
No, but a lot of more people are saying out there, Lon, that they feel that this is going to be a big year for UFOs, a big year for cryptids. Like everybody just seems to have that feeling.
Yeah, I've been hearing that since October. Yeah, I've been hearing that yeah, it's been coming from all over the paranormal world. I mean, people have just got that itch, like something is going to show itself. I have come out and said that many times recently, that I just get that feeling that are we going to get a disclosure? I don't know. Is something going to come out that's going to prove some of what we've been thinking about over the years? I don't know. But it's been surprising the amount of people who I know particularly, but even others, who have come out and said, I just don't know what it is, but there's something about 2024 that just is different than before. So who knows?
Oh, man. I have no idea. Let's get to another question here. Let's go to Philip. Have you ever had reported a snake man or snake woman, like a lamia?
Oh my God, a long time ago I had a snake woman sighting. Literally this person was hiking on a trail, and I think it was in California, but I don't quote me on that. But they literally saw a snake that kind of looked like a woman, had a woman's head on it. That's the only one I can think of. We got a lot of reptilian lizard man sightings here and there, but actually something crawling on the ground or slithering across the ground that's got a human aspect to it that's pretty weird.
All right, let's go to the Doug Shelby, who is asking, any new information on the staircase in the middle of nowhere?
I haven't received one since the last time I talked about one. But, I did know, and I told this before, a search and rescue guy in Northern California who came across two of them actually in the middle of the woods. I mean, he was saying that, I'm in the middle of nowhere and here's a staircase, perfect staircase out in the middle of the woods. There's no foundations from a former house or a former building. And this damn thing is right there. And of course, I asked him, well, did you go up the stairs? Hell no, I didn't go up the stairs.
You don't go up the stairs.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
No, don't go up the stairs. 4 minutes to go. 3 questions, Lon.
Okay.
Let's go to Noble Patrick here. Any dogman sightings reported in West Virginia?
Oh, we've had them, but I haven't had any lately. We've had scattered sightings. I can't really say exactly where, but I'd have to dig that up. But we have had several in West Virginia. We've had a lot of stuff in West Virginia. The area around West Virginia and Southwest Virginia, which is, that's the mountains right there, as it's coming up from Tennessee. Those, we've had sightings there.
Wow. Moving on, let's go to Kaysen. Lon, any experiences with ley lines and non-human entities or experiences with Arcturian ETs?
We get the Arcturian claims. But as far as ley lines do, we have areas where we've suspected there have been ley lines. Actually, that's something, especially haunting areas, haunting locations where we suspect there may be a ley line. If the person's sensitive enough, they can usually pick up on that. I did a case. Oh my God, I did a case down in Atlanta years ago where we suspected a ley line was coming through somebody's yard. Man, it just seemed like every day there was something coming through there. I mean, it was like we had investigators down there. I wasn't down there, but I was picking up on remote sensing. But we had people telling, people who were down there working with us saying, we'd be seeing all kinds of, corporeal beings walking along a straight line in the backyard. Sometimes they seemed to be walking straight through the house. Was it a ley line? It probably was. But, and it's another thing that involves what's been going on in Chicago. Chicago has hundreds of ley lines emanating from the shoreline westward across the city. They've been documented. That's why, Chicago, as far as paranormal activity, is probably one of the most haunted or most active areas in the country, let alone the world. A lot of UFO activity as well, of course, with, the winged humanoids. And, I think ley lines can actually give some answers as to why certain things do happen in certain areas. I have talked to several people who swear that O'Hare International has at least 5 ley lines going through it. So maybe that's why a lot of stuff is going on there. Somebody said Wrigley Field. Yeah, it may be on a ley line. I've had activity near the stadium.
One final question from Scott here. Has anyone ever thought that maybe we're the cryptid? Us popping into other dimensions?
Yeah, I thought about that. Maybe we're the cryptid, and the things we call cryptids are what really supposed to be here, and we're kind of, they're fascinated with us as we're fascinated with them.
Could be. Lon Strickler.
Awesome.
Do us a favor. Tell everybody where they can find your podcast.
Well, you go to YouTube and search Phantoms and Monsters Radio, and it'll come up. We do it every Friday night live. Some people in the chat show up there every week. So, we try to do a show every Friday night, and we talk about all kinds of things. And I take questions, too.
Beauty. Lon, we love you around here. We'll talk to you next month.
Okay. Remind me about the Penelope thing. I'll dig that up. Or whatever else you want to talk about.
Lon Strickler, phantomsandmonsters.com. Make sure you check out his site. Coming up next, Among the Missing with Steve Stockton. Then Courtney Marcassani is ready to rock and roll.
You're
on the
listening
major UFO
to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, Lon. Thank you, buddy.
Okay.
You.
See you next month. Anything comes up, give me a call.
I will. Take care, bud.
Okay. Okay. I'll see you later.
Bye. Leafy Nebula, how you doing? And I'll be right back. Paisley Parker, nice to see you. Stay tuned, everybody. All right. I am back. Hi, Nicole Sackich. You're welcome, Blue Cruise. Flat Six, how you doing? Court is almost in session. Maybe we should change the name from the UFO Report to the UFO Court. Ooh, that has a ring to it. Slow motion. How you doing? Big thank you tonight to Louis times 6, Human Carl, La 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 La, Bright times 2, Science Bob, Pixie Lara. Thank you for joining us. Speed Roman, good to see you. Super Crazy. Oh. We got 20 seconds. Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Go check it on out. We'd appreciate it. Here we go, everybody. Here we go with the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you for tuning us in. My name is Dave Scott. We're about to get into the UFO report in just a few minutes' time. And we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Please join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam is set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ichneumous. Ichneumous is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Let us say hello to Steve Stockton from the YouTube channel Among the Missing for another spooky story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. Constructed in Seattle, Washington in 1931 as a lavish yacht, the MV Joyita is a famous shipwreck that has captivated people's interest for years. During World War II, the ship was purchased by the United States Navy and utilized as a patrol boat in the Pacific region. The 69-foot-long vessel was made of wood. Following the war, the MV Joyita was sold to a private individual who transformed it into a commercial fishing boat. It mainly operated in the waters surrounding Samoa, a Pacific island nation. The vessel was famous for being robust and capable of quickly navigating the sea, and it was a common sight along the local fishermen and villagers. On October 3, 1955, the MV Joyita set sail from Apia, Samoa, with 16 people on board, including passengers and crew members such as Captain Tom Miller, a doctor, a government official, and some Samoan natives. Their destination was the Tokelau Islands, located 270 miles to the north. The MV Joyita was expected to reach its destination in about 48 hours, but had yet to arrive. Despite several days of searching, a New Zealand Air Force plane located the ship floating in the open ocean, over 600 miles off course and over 500 miles from where it was supposed to go. The ship was tilted to one side with no visible passengers or crew. In spite of the launch of a search and rescue operation, the missing people were never found. The MV Joyita was later towed back to Apia for inspection by investigators. The ship was severely damaged with disabled communication equipment and missing life rafts. There's no evidence of any violent or malicious activity on board, though. Various explanations have been proposed for what transpired, including piracy, mutiny, and even a supernatural occurrence but none have been proven to be the definitive cause. Some experts believe that the ship was damaged by a severe storm, which caused it to lose power and drift for several days before finally being spotted by the search plane. Others suggest that the ship may have been the victim of a structural failure, such as a hull leak or an engine room malfunction. The MV Joyita's vanishing is a perplexing maritime enigma that is yet to be explained. This occurrence still captivates and intrigues investigators, history enthusiasts, and the public, generating numerous books, documentaries, and other forms of media. And now we have the Lady Lovibond. For centuries, the tale of the Lady Lovibond has been one of the most fascinating legends of the high seas. It tells the story of love, betrayal, and tragedy that has captured the imaginations of sailors and storytellers alike. The Lady Lovibond was a 120-foot, three-masted schooner built in 1784 by John Perry of Whitby, England. In February 1748, the Lady Lovibond departed from London for a typical journey to Portugal. The vessel carried Simon Lovibond and his newlywed wife Annette, who had only been married for a few days. Additionally, the crew consisted of experienced sailors. Legend has it that the ship was headed toward the Goodwin Sands near the coast of Kent when a crew member, driven by jealousy, intentionally directed the vessel toward the dangerous sands. The ship was destroyed, and unfortunately, everyone on board perished. The story of the Lady Lovibond has been retold in many books, songs, and films, but it takes work to discern fact from fiction. No records of the ship being wrecked on the Goodwin Sands in 1748 exist, and no official reports of the incident exist. Some theories suggest that the vessel may have been wrecked on the Goodwin Sands, but the authorities kept it hidden for unknown reasons. Others think the legend was created to excite an otherwise uneventful trip. The story of Lady Lovibond still intrigues sailors and storytellers globally, regardless of its authenticity. The vessel has become a representation of love, tragedy, and the perils of the sea.
And thank you to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing for another great story. If you want more just like that, head on over to youtube.com/Among the Missing and make sure you go hit subscribe and ring that bell. From the missing to the mysterious, it's time for UFO Court with Courtney Marcassani.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
All right, Courtney Marcassani on our new title, which we call UFO Court. I'm liking this name.
It's like Night Court. We can all have our little roles.
Right? Thank you to our audience and Nicole Sackich for creating that. So we really do appreciate it. What is happening? How you been? You're on assignment on the East Coast here,
Not
which
yet.
is not yet.
Not yet. No, I came into Montana first because I'm driving, and yes, I will be on assignment. I wish I could talk about it, but not today. But there's 2 breaking stories that I'm working on, so hopefully I'll be able to get them to Spaced Out Radio by the time I get to the East Coast. I'm driving, so I'll be driving across the U.S. in the next couple of days, meeting with all the UFO folks.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's start off with a story on News Nation about Glenn Grothman or Grothman. He is Wisconsin congressman who believes that we should be protecting those reporting UAP sightings.
Yeah, I just pulled that off right before we came on. I was, gathering. I had some other news stories, and I found this, and it was just posted a couple hours ago. So it's a fresh story, and he's pro UAP witness and UAP reporting, actually, for both.
Now, he is a Wisconsin Republican.
Mm-hmm.
He says, isn't it important that the Department of Defense look into this and see exactly if there's any possible explanation? I mean, doesn't that really go against the Arrow report? It's almost like maybe he didn't read the Arrow report, or maybe didn't agree with
he's just been left out of the loop. I mean, I said this to you because, Gallagher is leaving. He was a Wisconsin Republican who was a very strong proponent for getting into the UAP task force. And in that first hearing that we all watched, I know you did too, because you were as disappointed as I was watching it. Gallagher actually brought up in session the Wilson notes. the Wilson docks. So I thought it was interesting that Gallagher is leaving Wisconsin, so he's not going to be a representative anymore. But this new person is making his statement. So maybe he's going to try to pick up where Gallagher left off. I also have to say, this is breaking right before I came on, and I did not want to interrupt you, but this is huge. So this just came out right before I came on air. Michael Flynn, former general, says this in a podcast. There was just like a snippet released. There is a secret alien government running our lives. That's a quote. I wrote it down from the snippet. It was just a podcast, just a short cut. And he's going off about other political things that I don't really want to mention. But how about this? That he goes on the record and says there's a secret alien government running our lives. Michael Flynn.
Well, that's pretty incredible if there's some merit to what he is saying. I'm not going to say truth. I'm going to say merit.
It's so strange. It's such strange times right now. Like just the last few days since I've been traveling down here, I've been watching news as I can. And it's so strange, the atmosphere right now in the community, because you've got multiple people and multiple sources getting shut down, like really shut down. Arrow is trying to shut down witnesses, testimony. I saw on another news report that Jay Stratton was saying that they went back and were back classifying files in the UAP task force. So you're seeing this clear concerted effort to classify stuff and make things more secret. But then you have somebody like Michael Flynn coming out and saying the secret alien government is running our lives. So it's like diametrically opposed what's happening, and it's just very strange. There's so much more to talk about, but I did want to mention Michael Flynn, just quoting him exactly what he said. That's word for word.
Do we know if anybody else has really recognized this statement that he made? Because that's a pretty deep statement for a person who had the authority that he did.
I don't know the podcaster. I just saw it before I came on. I wrote down quickly what he said just to make sure that I was getting it clear for the Spaced Out Radio fans. I mean, he's a very controversial general, as I'm sure you know. He had to step down during the Trump administration because of his meetings with Russia and all that. But I think it's interesting that he's stepping back out into the arena and commenting on the alien government. It seems a bit... It seems like he's stepping out a little bit, and I haven't known him to be in the UFO community. I mean, we know other people in the intelligence community and other high-level officials who have interest in UFOs and have talked about it, but not like this. Not just blatantly saying a declarative statement like that. No.
But the question is, what does that actually mean? Does it mean that we're actually have this alien government that is controlling humanity? Or does it mean that there are people within the government who know about the aliens, but just won't come out and tell it publicly?
Well, we're going to have to follow up with him. I mean, I'm determined to follow up with him and ask him that exact question. Are you talking about the actual beings, or are you talking about the people within the government that know about the beings? Or are you saying, thirdly, that the people within the government are taking orders from the alien beings? That's three different issues. So I think that we should follow up with him as Spaced Out Radio folks and find out what he meant exactly.
I think we need to as well. You know, we totally need to. I mean, if he's willing to talk, we need to be able to be in front of that.
Well, you heard it here on Spaced Out Radio, folks. We got it. I'm sure that nobody else picked this up, especially at this hour. So for all those who are in the chat space, we're lucky we could report this. And then tomorrow on the recording, I'm sure people will be interested in following up on his comments as well.
Of course. I want to get back to the original start that we had here with Grothman. He makes a very interesting quote, a couple interesting quotes here. He says, as I go around my district again and again, I hear more questions from people. I can't think of a hearing that I have chaired that has received so much interest. This goes on to say about the UAP issue, especially the public frustration over a lack of transparency has snowballed. He's blown away by it.
Well, look, even more like this is a good segue. Even more importantly, Burleson came out on the record and said that he thinks that Mike Turner is going to try to block the UAP committee, and that just came out today as well. That he went on the record and said that they want to take it forward and push it forward, and Mike Turner was the one who blocked the some of the language in the Schumer amendment. So more of the same there. I also think it's interesting that, well, I'll just let you comment. That's one of the things that I also thought was interesting. And then Burleson also said the two biggest things that they're investigating right now is the Biden controversy and UAPs. So he went on the record about that and said those are the two biggest things that they're investigating right now in Congress. So our issue is a major focus right now, apparently.
Well, I mean, Mike Turner, from we have to take a look at the history of where his electoral area is. Up here we call it constituency in Canada. I'm not sure what it's called in the United States, but it is Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. He talks to all the generals. He has a large military contingent. I believe there's over 50,000 people alone that work at Wright-Pat. That's a lot of influence that base in the military there gives his area of electoral candidacy, and he has to bend to them. And I believe that him, along with the other older Republicans who really, tried to shoot down the Schumer-Rounds amendment and eventually got a lot of the wording changed and erased in it. I think they were doing it because they're trying to keep America's secrets. That's what UAP is all about, is keeping the secrets from the everybody else in the world.
Yeah, it wasn't just the wording. It was a presidential panel that was taken out, that was proposed. It was eminent domain, which is basically ownership of technology. It was a whole bunch of important power moves. So, he stripped all of that. And you have to look at where his constituency is from. I mean, constituency is the right word. It would be his district and where he represents in his state. But the constituency are the people that vote him in. So he gets a lot of money. That's been established.
Man, that is heavy. I mean, knowing that he's trying to overturn it before it's even come out.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the other thing that's interesting on the political side, just for folks who are following and tracking everything that's going on in DC, apparently Luna wouldn't allow the co-chair of the UAP caucus to meet with, I guess it was Matt Laszlo, for a listening session. And so he just came out and said he thought that was very odd. And that the co-chair of the UAP task force wouldn't be meeting and having a listening session. So we should follow up on that too, either with Matt Laszlo or who Matt Laszlo is pointing to that she was unwilling to meet. You're seeing some things shutting down and shutting off, while you're also seeing, like I said, this aggressive move by somebody like General Michael Flynn coming out and saying there's a secret government. So it's just crazy making. It's literally crazy making what's going on right now. With the political side and in the community. I also saw a video from Weaponized of George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. I think it was yesterday, where he was talking about Annie Jacobson's book and how her book was really great. But the last part of it, she talked with this witness, Al O'Donnell, out in Area 51, and he was talking about these two alien bodies that they had, that they were semi-comatose. And then he described, the witness changing the story and then saying that it was this really, really fantastical story about the Germans and the Nazis. And I'm not going to go all into it, but it's interesting, the stories that are coming back through and being recycled right now, because Annie Jacobson's book did a good job going through a lot of the history of the phenomenon, but that part is controversial because she took his story and that source, and then it became something else besides the alien bodies. So that's the problem. I think that's why I'm bringing it up. That's one of the problems, is that there's all these inaccurate, not factual stories, and also sources that are giving information that we can't verify. and it's making a lot of confusion and causing a lot of craziness. That's what I think that's happening in the community right now. And if you don't have the wherewithal to stick through this, it's too much.
Wow. I mean, the idea that we're talking aliens, so we're talking, it almost seems just by what you're saying here the last few minutes that we're seeing a lot of political posturing going on with the UFO story.
Yeah, I think it definitely is. And like I said, it's crazy making, where you have this story from Michael Flynn that's pretty earth-shattering, that a former government official, high-ranking general, would go on the record like that in a podcast and say something that extraordinary, where you see Arrow having this whole report going back all the way to Project Blue Book and saying there's nothing there. That's the problem. They're diametrically opposed. The stories are.
Where does this go? I mean, we're seeing battle lines being drawn in the sand here, American versus American, on the pro UFO side and the pro or the anti UFO side. I mean, are we really seeing, lines drawn in the sand here?
I think that the creative projects, I think Nicole pointed out that James Fox just released a little video from his upcoming movie, The Program. I think that's going to be obviously for the pro side, for the cover up. I think that we're also going to see more brinkmanship from the DOD, locking people out. But I also think we're going to see more from our side, the pro disclosure community, pushing through things that are probably more legal. Like Danny Sheehan with his firsthand witness testimony about seeing classified files, things like that. I think will be move forward. I think coming into the election and coming into that, we're going to see a lot of UFO and UAP issues come up, but I'm not sure that they're going to take center stage, because it's just so, the political atmosphere right now is just so, everything is just so tenuous, and the acrimony is so high between both candidates. So I don't know, UFO issues could come and rise up, and these documentaries might be released right in time for the voting season to try to sway the election. I think we will see that, the timing of it, for certain.
We got 90 seconds to go before we have to go to break here, as we're listening to Courtney Marcassani on UFO Court on Spaced Out Radio. God, I love that name. I do. UFO Court.
That's what my name means. Courtney. It means the court.
Yes. Well, UFO Court. It's you. It's totally you. I'm very curious to see how this is going to play out. I mean, I don't even know where to start. I mean, it's like these people have already shoved the Arrow report to the side, saying we already know that's a bunch of hullabaloo, and let's move on. Let's get back to the real story and keep the pressure on.
Well, if you go back and look at Jay Stratton's transcripts, which I did today, I went back and read from his, conference that he went with Travis Taylor, and he talks about how files were back classified at the UAP task force. So this has been going on for a while, and it wasn't Arrow necessarily, but it could have been Scott Bray, who was the deputy director of intelligence at the time. So he might also be being more conservative about the UFO files in the Arrow report.
Well, Courtney, when we return, we got to continue on with a bunch of different news coming out. UFO whistleblowers, aliens, and the UAP enigma. Is it exposed? We'll get to that. And a lot more that is happening on social media on UFO Court with Courtney Marcassani. And wow, what a power night of information. It's usually the time we say hello to all the agents and agencies out there. Hope you're enjoying UFO Court tonight. Spaced Out Radio continues.
This
Courtney
is
Marcassani.
Spaced Out Radio, and your host, Dave Scott.
All right. There we go.
I came to bring it.
Oh, you're bringing it. You're large and in charge. And at
Yep.
this time of the night, hold on. We'd like to say hello. How are you to all the agents and agencies out there tuning us in on Spaced Out Radio tonight? Hope you're enjoying the show and get a hold of us sometime. You already have the phone number. Our phones are tapped. You know that. You're listening in. So just give us a call. Say hello. If you want to share some news, we're willing to take that call. Right, Court?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Questions always welcome.
Exactly. Exactly. There we go. Now I can get back to business.
I did email George Knapp before we came on the air, and he responded.
Well, it's good that he'll respond to your emails.
Well, I just asked a very specific question. I asked him to confirm something, and he couldn't confirm it. So we'll just wait on that story until I can get confirmation from a couple other sources.
Yeah. I asked him to come back on the show. I still haven't got back an email.
Really?
Yeah. I think he doesn't like me. I don't know why.
I thought he did like you. I
don't think
No. Well, I sent him some photos from the hearing too. I had some nice photos of him outside the doors when he was walking in. So I tried to butter him up a little bit.
Yeah. I hope he likes me because I admire the man. Hold on 1 second here.
Okay.
Put my intrepid journalism hat on. At this time, we'd like to say hello to all the journalists and reporters out there tuning us on in. And George, if you're listening, give us a ring sometime or just email us back and just tell us, hello, it is me you're looking for. Thank you.
I did tell him, I said, I do the news on SOR and I really like to get confirmation on this so I can run with this story. And he said, nope, sorry, I don't have any information on that. So it was quick, but at least he responded. It's great.
I like George. Power beard. Just a fantastic power beard.
Yeah.
It's the beard
He's
of
been in the game
knowledge.
for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the longevity.
Mm-hmm. Any bears in your yard?
Oh, I have to mention this when we come back on the launch of the UAP classification OCS system. I sent that to you, but not in those words. It's in the one post that I sent you. So that's big news. We should lead with that.
I'm trying to find it here.
The caucus launched the UAP classification system, the OCS.
Hold on, trying to find it. Okay, we did that one.
I think next we should do a nice digging
Not
down
Nanu.
deep into the Gang of Eight, don't you think?
We can do whatever you want. Not Nanu.
It's
Is
not
it one of the?
Nanu.
Is it one of the Twitter ones?
Yeah, it's from. Hold on. Lester Nair. Do you see all the classifications under there? Physical, psychosocial, metaphysical?
Yes, I just
Okay, all right.
lit up.
We should lead with that. That's a big deal. That's definitely news. Worthy.
Yeah. Nice. Another Brit, eh?
What's that?
He's a Brit? Lester
No,
Nair?
he's in the U.S.
Because he uses the term footballer, which
Oh,
means he's a
does he?
soccer.
That's
Which means
interesting. No, I thought my understanding that he was in the UAP caucus, and if he is, he would have to be U.S. citizen.
Well, he is creator of UAP Caucus on Twitter and UAPcaucus.com. Well, let's try and get him on the show. What the hell? What the hell? All right, we got about 10 seconds, Court. Do 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 do. All right, here we go. Final half hour, Spaced Out Radio is now underway. It's UFO Court with Courtney Marcassani. Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning us on in. All of our archives are free, so all you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Let's go with Courtney Marcassani, UFO Court. Here we go, as we are talking about the difference between extraterrestrial and non-human intelligence. Courtney, what do you think?
The news today is that there is a official launch of the UAP classification system, the OCS, through the UAP caucus. So that's a big deal because they're breaking down these different types of beings, essentially interdimensional, intradimensional, interdimensional, non-human intelligences. And so it's a breakdown essentially of the different types.
Looking at this list, which is put out by Lester Nair, at Lester Nair, Nare on Twitter, says the range of possibility or possible theories for the origin of UAP 96 plus exists across three main categories: physical and psychosocial and metaphysical. Physical being these theories propose that UAPs have a physical real-world explanation, such as extraterrestrial spacecraft, advanced human-made technology, or natural phenomena. Psychosocial, these theories suggest that UAP experiences are the result of individual or collective psychological processes, such as misperception, hallucinations, or social contagion. Metaphysical is these theories propose that UAPs have origins beyond the realm of conventional scientific understanding, such as paranormal manifestations, occult practices, and alternate dimensions. You agree with these?
Well, no, I mean, not completely, but I think that they're trying to take the right steps forward and do the right thing as a UAP caucus to put a taxonomy together, a classification system for the public. But no, I don't agree with all of it. You know, I don't agree with hallucinations. So we've talked about that ad nauseum. Nah.
No, I look at this list, just the first, and I understand, but to me, when I look at a list like that, it tells me as an experiencer, if I put my experiencer hat on, that whoever came up with this list really didn't get into or talk to experiencers about this. This is strictly scientific.
Look, I think that experiencers like us who do research and do solid work in the community, we carry a burden. We carry a burden because we have a different perspective about experiences, more subjective experiences. That's not to say they're not physical in reality, but it's a heavy burden for people like us to carry in this community, because what people in the UAP caucus are doing are looking at it from another perspective. They can take the information and look to try to quantify it or classify it. They're not going to get those rich inner experiences that we have. And so they have, no other way to put that except terms like, for them, maybe hallucinations. Now, I think hallucinations is the wrong term. There's other terms that they could have used instead of hallucination, but that's what they did. So yeah. I think that experiencers will have to carry that burden until it becomes more understandable for the general public. But right now they're just grasping at straws to try to use words to make it fit.
Yeah. Well, the other ones in the subcategories were intra-dimensional. Theories suggest that UAPs are manifestations or objects from dimensions or realms within our own physical reality. Extra-dimensional. Theories proposing that UAPs originate from other dimensions, parallel universes, or realms beyond our physical reality. Or interdimensional. Theories suggesting that UAPs are capable of transversing between different dimensions or realities, moving from one to another.
A bit confusing, yeah. So I don't think they have it all sorted out yet. I think they're trying to use words that they think are accurate to describe these different interdimensional phenomena, which are hard to do that scientifically for the public. So I think they're trying to break it down and make it accessible to people that are trying to learn about it. You and I and other people that have been researching this for a long time, we're old hat at understanding things like crypto-terrestrials, ultra-terrestrials, but the common person coming into this, they need something that's like a bridge to understanding the whole field. And so I think that this is what they're trying to doing, and I commend them for doing it. I mean, the fact that we have a UAP caucus and that they're working on this and that they have something to put out to the public is good. It shows they're working on it. So I'm sure there will be more soon released.
I would like to know who is working on this.
On the caucus?
Well, it's
Or
UAP.
who's helping the caucus?
Well, I think that I don't think this is a government caucus. I think this is just a private group of people who have been taking this on, probably with a lot of intelligence and a lot of critical thinking.
No, it's a government caucus. I do believe it's a government caucus. Yeah. So we can find out all the different folks in the caucus and how they're getting their experts who are giving them information.
I have to correct you there because I just saw on the website, this website, uapcaucus.com, is an independent, community-driven platform and is not affiliated with, endorsed by, or representative of any official government entity, including the UAP caucus within the White House or within the House of Representatives or any other official body. The views, framework, and content expressed on this site are those of the contributors and should not do not reflect the official stance or endorsement of any government organization.
Okay, so Lester Nair is not in the U.S. Congress caucus, is what you're saying?
No, exactly.
He's independent. Okay, that's good. That's a good distinction.
But I think he's on the right track. There's obviously a lot of science and thought that has gone into this, and it's imperative to bring it up.
Yeah, well, we'll have to go and track down the UAP caucus members so we know who officially is in the caucus. And then if they have something like that, this that they're working on, we should follow up with who they're working with publicly.
Absolutely, we need to. Absolutely, we need to.
So he might be a Brit. He could be a Brit if he's an independent.
I think he's a Brit. He doesn't say soccer. He says footballer.
Yeah, that's a giveaway. Dead giveaway.
Yes. And there is a Princeton school. Now, which Princeton is this? Princeton University. Oh, he did go to school at Princeton in New Jersey.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Well, we know he's smart.
Well, we'll follow up with him. We'll follow up with him and see why he named his stuff the UAP caucus, because that's a little bit of a misrepresentation if he's not actually involved in the Congress. In the UAP caucus in the Congress.
Well, yes, that
something
indeed.
We're following up on.
All right. Another tweet you kind of put out there. UFO visits near key nuclear installations are baffling experts.
In India. Yeah, in India, there was an article posted about the UAPs, 10 sightings in August 2023 around one nuclear plant in India.
Wow.
So it's not just nuclear military facilities, it's also nuclear energy.
Well, that's what's happening here in Canada as well. That's what Larry Maguire really got started on, and that's where he found his in order to bring this up within the Canadian caucus. So, I mean, We've used the word caucus tonight more times than we have in the history
Let's
of
have
the
caucus talk.
yes. Caucus talk right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Yes. We could have our own caucus, the Spaced Out Radio caucus. Let us commence.
Let us commence caucusing. Yes.
Not to be confused with coccyx. All right. Well, there is a lot of information to break down. Where do you want to go next?
Oh my. Oh my. Well, there's this new group out there called Project Nanu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it is founded by Nicholas Martin. On the team is another co-founder, Ed Crowther, Philip Jansen, Holly Wood,
Mm-hmm.
lifelong experiencer. Advisory team, Sean Cahill, still has a great beard. Steve Carsey, Daniel Zetterstrom, and Helen McCaw. So basically, this is a group of really new, young, excitable people regarding the UFO phenomena, and they're really covering all of the bases in what needs to be covered regarding this. They are names that probably nobody is going to recognize in regards to the direction that they're going. They don't seem to have any sort of government affiliation. It's an independent group looking into investigating the unknown. It's an exciting little project here.
Well, I think that they are also on the right foot with their public declaration about their privacy and data collection and their policies. They're putting it right out there about service provisions and data usage and data ownership and rights. And so I think that's a good foot to start out on, because what they're doing is developing, it looks like some applications. Now, I don't know if it's similar to Enigma with their actual application, or if it's going to be different, because they're calling it the Nanu app and they want people to know about it. And so it's interesting because it seems like they're trying to shed some of the fears and concerns that people have had about MUFON and files, personal files being transferred. And so it looks like they're trying to combat that right away with their Nano app. So I thought that was a good thing, don't you?
I think it's a good thing. It's going to be interesting to see because we're going to see a lot more of these so-called reporting app sites and everybody who's trying to get on board with ufology. I think we're going to see a lot more. It's not just Enigma Labs. It's not just Project Nanu. It's not just MUFON anymore. There's a bunch of them. And they're really going to thin out the information rather than keeping it in one area. Am I a fan of it? I'd say, hey, let's try it out. It can't be any worse than Enigma, right?
Well,
But
I mean, there's so many apps now. There's Phenom. There's the CE5 app that also has some sighting stuff on it. So there's so many different apps. So one of the things I was wondering about with the Nanu app is what's different about their data collection from a powerhouse like Enigma, who wants to be the Shazam for the sky, right? I mean, they've got the cool soundbite there and deep pockets, a lot of venture capitalists. So is it Nanu going to be just focused primarily in the UK, or will it be worldwide? They've obviously brought people on who have been in the community. They're not completely unknown. Helen McCaw is a financial expert and a financial advisor. She was at the Seoul Symposium. She's written some good financial articles. I don't know if it's been in the London Times, but she's well respected. So she would be somebody to watch, definitely, as an up and comer with this project. And so I'm curious to see what kind of data collection they will be doing and what will be gathered on the Nano app.
well, we're going to see. I mean, the one thing that I have noticed recently, and I'm not sure if you have or not, But remember when we were talking about Enigma Labs and their social media platform, how they were very cryptid with what they were saying. You couldn't respond to their tweets. Well, it sounds like they've made a change as with their PR people. Sounds like Alejandro Rojas may be out. And all of a sudden, their Twitter account is magically is the word I'm looking for. You're able to retweet and actually post comments again on their account.
I did see that they're hiring for a social media like manager. So there's obviously change up happening in staff. And I didn't know about the perception side of it, that they were being more frequent with posts or being more open with posts. They, in their article, took a lot of the one that we covered here a couple months ago, took a lot of criticism because they were essentially saying that we don't want to be part of the little green man crowd. And so, that just offends a whole group of people that are out there that are actually they're people who would be sending data to them potentially.
Absolutely.
Collectors. So when you offend people like that, then it intends to make people, nervous and jerky and wonder why. Why would you want to exclude a whole group in this community who are doing data tracking on sightings and UAPs?
It's like they learned. It's like they learned nothing from the To the Stars Academy, that you want to play in the UFO world, but you don't want to include UFO people. It makes no sense.
Because there's a stigma around the UFO people. And that's kind of what I was trying to say earlier with people like us who are experiencers that are actually doing the work in the community, doing the reports, doing the research, digging in. There's a stigma against us. And so we have to carry a heavy burden, doing these kind of reports and following all of this and tracking it so that we continue to stay as a voice, as an active voice in this community. Otherwise, we will be shut out because we get labeled the little green men people. And I think that's unfair.
I think it's unfair too. We got about 4.5 minutes before we have to say goodnight. Courtney Marcassani and UFO Court here on Spaced Out Radio. I really do believe, Courtney, that we have to, a lot of these companies, and maybe I get my back up a little bit, but a lot of these new companies that are coming in keep talking about UFO transparency. They want transparency. They're going to bring transparency. Yet we never see it. We never see it.
Well, that's because there's a concerted effort to keep it covered up. I mean, all these things that we've been reporting over the last months just show that there's a concerted effort. I mean, the UAP task force going back classifying files that Travis Taylor and Jay Stratton were investigating is so suspicious. That just leapt out at me when I was looking at that transcript today. I was like, how can they go and back classify UAP task force videos and not make them accessible after they've already been seen? And so that puts those investigators in a terrible position because they've seen the videos. They're going out, they're trying to get third-party verification, PhD level, experts on looking at these images, and then they get classified. That's obviously part of the cover-up and part of this that we're trying to break through. The good news is there are people that are talking about it and working on it. And so we're in good company. We just need to stay the course.
So what's your plans here? We got 2 minutes to go. You're on assignment heading towards the East Coast.
I'm going to try to meet with some whistleblowers on the East Coast to talk about some changes that happened on the UAP task force forum recently. That's one of the things I contacted George Knapp about, was to try to get him to confirm it. He said he didn't have any information, so I will try to get more information about that so that we can break it here on Spaced Out Radio. I'll also hopefully get to meet with the whistleblower again. And I was hoping to have another surprise meeting on my way. So I'm working on a couple different levels of stories actually through this trip.
Well, that's good. That is good. And the fact is that people are talking to you, and it may be behind the scenes. It may be how we're gathering information, but people are chatting with you. The doors of communication are open, and that's how stories get out. That's what we need, is the proper.
There's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of angst and frustration, and just, you know, the whistleblowers are saying, well, this Arrow report is just plain wrong. And so I think that it'll provide an opportunity to sit down with folks and find out why. Why do you feel that way?
What do you think the attitude is? Because this will be your first time talking to these people face to face, after the Arrow report.
I think that they are noticing the efforts, the coordinated efforts to shut things down, but they keep pointing to people like John Ramirez, for example, somebody who has come out publicly and said 2027 is a very important date. Disclosure is having to happen because there is another race here on the planet and it has to be disclosed. Otherwise, there's going to be panic. And so I think it's interesting that there have been some dates floated out and that there is a very real disclosure happening. And so you have to cut through a lot of the BS and see the real stories. And that's a challenge, and that takes time and it takes effort. So, but we're doing it here. And I know people are tuning in and listening because they're interested to hear what's breaking. So we'll just keep doing it.
Well, let's just keep doing that breaking news thing. I mean, if it works for you, it works for me.
I don't think that anybody else had Michael Flynn on the little interview that he did talking about the alien government, but we had it, so we're doing it.
We're going to try and track him down.
Yeah, we could probably get to Michael Flynn. I think we probably could.
Courtney, where can people find you?
You can find me at my website, Inspired Potentials. You can contact me through there. I'm on social media too. I'm on X and I'm on Facebook. So, and thank you to everybody who's been sending me notes about your stories, about your experience or journey. I really appreciate it. It gives me salve. It gives me healing salve for my soul and my journey.
Thank you, Courtney, as we say hello, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LDF, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X, Twitter, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night. I'm so excited.
Yeehaw, huh? Yeehaw. Take a night off, and what do you get?
I'm so
Slammed.
excited.
You get slammed. I'm sorry I had to slam you.
That's okay. Court is adjourned. I'm so excited. My boy finally comes home tomorrow.
Oh, really? Where's your boy been? I didn't know that he was gone.
He was down hanging out with my dad for like 10 days.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And he saw my mother-in-law there too and hung out with her. So he comes home tomorrow.
Very nice. It's always good to be dad on the day the kiddo comes home.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I kind of like him. I really do.
Good.
Like, I'm a fan of his. It's just one of those. He's just a cool kid. He's a really cool kid. So, I don't know. I'm gonna hang out with him. Probably give him a couple of, I've been teaching him how to hockey fight. So we'll probably have a go. I'll pull the jersey over his head and give him
Give him a couple uppercuts.
Oh,
Welcome back.
nothing hurt. Nobody gets hurt. It's just one of those things that you got to do. I mean, if your kid drops, I mean, what are you supposed to do? My son and I am teaching him how to take face-offs and everything, and all of a sudden he drops the gloves on me. What am I supposed to do? I can't just skate away.
You have to toughen him up. That's your job.
No,
right?
I have to toughen him up. Exactly. So I drop the gloves and I say, "Are you sure you want a shot at the title, you little jerk?" Right?
Welcome
Let me just start,
home.
and then I see him and show him who's gonna be he's got a long way to the top if he wants to rock and roll.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I heard that song today when I was driving. I was cranking it up. And
Yeah.
Eye of the Tiger too. I heard Eye of the Tiger too. We used
Oh,
to listen to that for basketball warm-ups in high school. And so I heard both of those and I was like, all right, rocking out.
Totally. So you're in Montana right now?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to head out tomorrow. I got my truck checked out, got some new winter tires on it. So I'm ready, road ready.
Nice.
Yeah. I'll be visiting some folks. So that'll be nice to see people in person.
How many hours drive is that one?
It's probably going to be about 30 hours to get to the East Coast. So I'm going to break it up a couple days.
All right. Do we have you back on Wednesday or are you here on
Yeah,
Friday?
I'll be solid on Wednesday. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I'll be stationary.
All right. What's in between? Will you? I guess you might get to. Let's see, Montana. Move it on over. So you get past the Dakotas, I guess.
Yeah. It's Wyoming, Dakotas. There is a northern route or a southern route, and I'll probably take the northern route. So that'll go up into Wisconsin, Illinois, and over that way.
Right. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll let you know how everything goes, and I'll be watching the news on my way, and I'll make my notes. You know me and my notebook. I have my little notebook here.
For sure.
Constantly making my notes.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, my friend.
All right. It's 1:00 here, so I'm going to hit the hay. I'll see you on Wednesday.
Bye, Courtney Marcassani and UFO Court. We love you. Drive safe, okay?
Love you. Yep. See you on the other side.
All right. Later. Courtney Marcassani, everybody. Hey, sweet Robbie G, I'm going to call you here in a couple of minutes. That was a good report by Courtney. Very good report. And where's that one? Should be right about there. Right? Is that what we're talking about right there? Yeah. Right there. Big thank you tonight to our main man, Forrest Louie, with 6 different super chats. That may be a record. Who else is next? Science Bob. La 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 la. Right. And Human Carl and Pixie Lara for the amazing super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support, everybody. All right. Tomorrow night on the show, who do we have? Let's take a little peeky poo here. Carl Crusher is back. Yeah, he's got like 3 million people on his YouTube channel. We're going to talk some UFOs, aliens, and strange shit he's finding out in his investigations. It's going to be a lot of fun. So my eyes are killing me. So I got to call Sweet Robbie G here in a couple of seconds. But we love you. Did I check my email? I have checked my email officially, and I got nothing from you. Got nothing from you. I got nothing. Nothing. I got nothing. Hey, Nick, I got nothing. Nicole Sackage, I got nothing. Nothing, I tell you. It's nothing. Let me tell you. It's nothing. Where is the ending? Where's the ending? Should be right about here. All right. I got some work to do. See you all tomorrow night, everybody. Oh, that. No, nothing from the extra Temptation Island terrestrials. He'll message me tomorrow. He always does. If not, I'll call him tomorrow. All right. Later, everybody. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.